Hello, and welcome back to the final day of the Sunshine Readathon. I cannot believe it is finally the end of a week of reading. In advance, I will apologise about any possible background noise. My dad is downstairs listening to music on his very expensive hi-fi system, so if you can hear the strains of the Smiths in the background, it's not me, it's my dad. I'm gonna give you an update on where I got to with my reading yesterday. Let me just reach back and... This is fluttering. So I got to 170 pages of the Song of Achilles yesterday while I was out babysitting, and I am enjoying it so much. The Song of Achilles deserves all the hype that it receives as I'm reading it so far. The writing is so beautiful, the sentiment behind the words. Patroclus is longing for Achilles. At this point where I'm reading, they are now together in as much as they are together, and the war with Troy is first being mentioned, and Thetis, Achilles' mother, has brought up the prophecy and has said that Achilles will die if he agrees to fight against Troy. It's so much. The thing I'm really noticing is that I've just finished reading what is the arguably happy part of the book, of Patroclus and Achilles growing up together, with Patroclus falling in love with Achilles, with them reciprocating each other's feelings, with them being happy together. And yet, because I already know the ending of this story, I'm fairly well versed in Greek mythology and various other more famous books generally. I know how this ends, I know what's going to happen, and so already I'm getting this bittersweetness even from the really happy parts where they are genuinely just happy. It already feels sad because, the foreshadowing, the irony of so many of the most beautiful lines. It really hurts. And so I am deciding that I am not going to read this first today because, very simply, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be devastated when I read the ending, and I don't want to do that to myself and still hope to read Learning Curves, which is meant to be just very, very wholesome, fluffy romance. I don't think I'd be able to just go straight from finishing Song of Achilles into that. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to take a break from the Song of Achilles and I am going to read Learning Curves now, which I am very excited for. And when I have done that, I'll see how I'm feeling, and then I will probably continue with some Song of Achilles. My hope is to also finish Song of Achilles today, but even if I just read Learning Curves, that completes the Sunshine Readathon challenges for me, so I will be happy with that, and I will just finish Song of Achilles on my own at a later date. So without any further ado, Learning Curves by Seeley Simkiss. This is the story of a law student named Eleanor who is very, very career focused. She is currently studying law and she is intent on being able to start her career as a family lawyer, which is what she has always wanted to do, and she has no time for romance, as so many romance protagonists are. However, she ends up meeting a woman named Cora, who is a freelance writer and journalist, as they are both studying in a library one day, and so they end up sparking a connection and a love story ensues. I am also told that this is an asexual romance story, so I'm very excited for some more representation in there, but as this is obviously a romance novel between two women, this fills out my final book-related challenge of read a queer romance. So I'm gonna get started on that. I will catch up with you when I'm done. This is only 90 pages, it's a very, very slim novella, so I am expecting to get it done in probably about an hour, maybe less. So I'll see you then. So I have just finished reading Learning Curves by Seeley Simkiss, and it was super underwhelming. Unfortunately, I just was not invested, did not care. I think that's something to do with the length of the story. I also think it's something to do with the quality of the writing. The writing was amateurish and it felt very unedited. I believe this is self-published rather than traditionally published, which shouldn't be an indicator of quality, but can be from time to time, and I think this is one of those occasions where, had this gone through a traditional editor and publisher, it would have been probably trimmed down a fair bit, because there were a lot of redundant sentences, a lot of redundant additions to sentences. Characters didn't feel very fleshed out. Eleanor had a whole load of Puerto Rican culture shoved onto her that felt very expositional rather than as a natural part of her character, and Cora had random stuff about her having ADHD thrown in that would just pop up to be mentioned occasionally but bore no real impact on the story. There wasn't a plot. There just straight up wasn't a plot, aside from, oh, Eleanor and Cora spend time together. There were no obstacles, there was no getting from A to B, there was no reason even for them to have been a law student and a writer, which I thought was going to be a fairly large part of the story and was why I was interested in reading it. I didn't want to be disappointed by this. I wanted it to be cute and wholesome and light, and it just wasn't. It was cheesy and cliche and boring. Well, at least that's done, so I've done the challenge. And now I can just enjoy reading some Song of Achilles. So, woo, I finished the readathon. I have successfully read a book for every single challenge. There is one challenge left, but I'm going to do that at the very, very end of the video. Yeah, I'm gonna take a little break and then read some Song of Achilles to cleanse my mind of quite underwhelming books. See you in a bit. So I am up to page 220 of the Song of Achilles now, and I just wanted to come on and say something because Achilles and Patroclus have just acquired Briseis. This is interesting to me because back at the start of 2020 I read The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, which is another retelling of the Trojan War, but The Silence of the Girls tells it from the perspective of Briseis, who is kidnapped during a raid on Troy, and so is taken to the encampment of soldiers and becomes a slave girl for Achilles. Now, this is obviously fairly brutal, and I would say probably the more accurate retelling of the myth, but I thought it was just interesting to compare to what happens in the Song of Achilles, which is that Briseis is put on the podium with all the other spoils of the raid to be distributed to the soldiers, and Agamemnon, one of the other officers as part of this huge collection of armies from various locations, is due to receive first pick of all the spoils, and Patroclus knows that Agamemnon is bad-tempered and violent and cruel, and does not want this poor girl to go to Agamemnon, so he asks Achilles to demand that he get first pick and to take her so that she will be safe. And so he takes her, and so Briseis is led to their tent, and Patroclus tries to assure her that they mean her no harm and teaches her Greek, and has Achilles claim even more of the women who are then stolen in these raids so that they can set them up in a tent and they won't have to, in the nicest way of wording it, tend to the men's needs, so that they might actually have a more comfortable existence having been kidnapped from their homes. Yeah, I don't really know what to say other than just that that's a much nicer reality than the one that is told in The Silence of the Girls. And of course the Song of Achilles is told in Achilles' favour because it is Patroclus who is regaling all these different events, and he is deeply in love with Achilles, so yeah, they're kind and they're nice, and Achilles is gentle and does his best to take care of these women that he has no interest in. Whereas in The Silence of the Girls, although Achilles has no interest in Briseis sexually and romantically, he still routinely rapes her every single night because that is his duty as a soldier, and so of course she hates him and she hates all the other men. Interesting, and I much prefer this version of events. And to be honest, who's to say what it was really like? Obviously it wasn't pleasant for any of the women. Equally, this is a myth that has been told and retold so many times, and The Silence of the Girls and The Song of Achilles are just two of the most modern retellings of it. I like that this is nicer, and that we are actually given a nicer view of what it would be like to be in the hands of Achilles and Patroclus, because oh my god, in The Silence of the Girls it is brutal and horrific. It's an excellent book, by the way, and I would highly recommend it. However, if you have a weak stomach, do not read it. It is horrific. Anyway, I am going to go back to reading. I only wanted to talk about Briseis because I thought it was an interesting difference between these two retellings of the Trojan War that I've read, but I'll be back when I have something more to say. Well, I filmed myself reading the last 50-ish pages of The Song of Achilles because I thought it would be fun to catch myself crying potentially, and I did it! Oh my god, that was so good! This is such a beautiful book. I can't do it justice right now because I'm too emotional and so many other people have put it better than I could, but oh my god, that is the most beautiful book. Oh my god. I was so emotional. Just the ending, the last paragraph is so beautiful and fuck. Well, that was my last book for the readathon, but I'm not going to wrap up now, not while I'm crying, so I will be back after I've had supper to wrap this up because I cannot do it in this state. I'll see you in a minute. Hello, you join me back in my most familiar of environments. I've had some food, I've had a cry over Song of Achilles, and I'm ready to wrap up my experience of the Sunshine Readathon. Because, oh my god, it is over. I have done a week of reading, and in that time I have read 6 books to fill out all 7 of the challenges. How cool is that? I've read some really good books this week as well. Obviously, concluding with The Song of Achilles does tend to put a downer on some of the other books, but Common Bonds was fantastic, Get a Life Chloe Brown was fantastic. I have had a fantastic time this week. I have read so many books and I've gotten to read so many things that I've really wanted to, and it's been just a fantastic experience to really challenge myself with these videos as well, to think about different ways in which I can film and edit and put together these pieces of content so they are interesting to watch as well as to create. And I'm really proud with the videos I've made. I think I've done a really good job with them, and it is only because I decided to daily vlog this readathon that I managed to do those things, so I'm really pleased with myself for that. There is one thing that remains. I filled out every single challenge that there was for the Sunshine Readathon, apart from the final one, which is to shout out some people who have encouraged your reading or inspired you in life in some way. And so I have a couple of people and things that I would like to shout out. First of all, I'm going to go for the non-person on this list, and I'm going to shout out the Storygraph. The Storygraph is such a great app, and it has helped me track my reading since around this time last year. It is super helpful. It is where I got recommendations for plenty of these books, actually, from their personalised recommendations and through looking through reading challenges to see what other people are submitting for those things. So if you're still purely using Goodreads, I would suggest making the switch to Storygraph. I'm obviously not paid to say this. I just think they're an awesome company and I really support what they're doing. Secondly, I want to shout out Nidhi of Girl Made of Words for buddy reading Chloe Brown with me at the start of this week. This was ironically the challenge I was most scared to do because I'm not very good at approaching people with things. I am especially nervous about social rejection, so the idea of having to ask someone to buddy read something with me was terrifying. but Nidhi was so nice. She suggested an excellent book that I had a fantastic time reading, and I've really enjoyed getting to discuss it with her over message. So thank you, Nidhi, for helping me complete this readathon and by being an excellent buddy for reading with. And if you do not know her channel already, go watch her videos. She's so lovely, she reads such excellent books and makes really, really good videos. Next, I want to shout out Katrina of Polynesian Reader. She is one of the first people who commented on my very, very first video welcoming me to BookTube, as was Nidhi actually, but she has stuck around and commented and liked and engaged with a whole load of my videos. She is the person who has tagged me in about 3 tag videos so far, so has really encouraged me to keep creating new content and to engage further with the community. She also runs an absolutely fantastic channel, especially focusing on Polynesian and Indigenous writers and stories, so absolutely go check her channel out because she's doing some fantastic work in making sure other people can diversify their reading as much as she obviously does. So fantastic. Thank you, Katrina. And finally, I want to shout out Jessica Nicole Dickerson herself for creating the Sunshine Readathon. As far as I'm aware, she's done this entirely on her own, coming up with a set of 7 challenges, doing reading sprints every single day with other creators, and generally just kickstarting this whole week of, for me, incredible fun and really, really good experiences. So thank you so much, Jessica, for creating this, because I had an absolute blast and you should be so proud of yourself for making such a fun and engaging readathon. I had such a good time and thank you for making it, really. All that remains for me to say is that I have had such a good time this week, and thank you so much to everyone who has been watching these videos. I know daily uploads don't work with everyone and they would much rather have weekly content or something a lot more spread out than me spamming videos every single day this week, but I am very, very grateful to those who have been watching and commenting on them. It's been so much fun and I've really enjoyed it. So, for the last time this week, thank you very much for watching. Please give this video a like if you did. Comment down below, are you impressed that I managed to make it through the readathon? Because I am. 6 books in 1 week is a lot, and I am tired and I will probably go into a reading slump after this. At the very least, I'm going to take a chill with the reading for a little bit and just let myself decompress a little bit. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more of my bookish content. I cannot be promising daily content beyond this. This was plenty for me, but if you want to see more of it in future, subscribing will be the best way to see that, and I will see you in my next video.